Speak to yourself this way and attract all you desire. The mind is a kingdom, and the words you whisper to yourself are the laws that govern it. Every man and woman carries within a parliament of voices, some born of fear, some of doubt, some of courage, and some of faith. Yet among them all there is one voice that rises highest, one voice that shapes destiny, the voice you choose to speak with when no one else is listening. Speak to yourself with weakness, and weakness becomes the reality you live. Speak to yourself with strength, and strength builds its temple within your spirit. Speak to yourself with faith, and you summon to your life the riches, the opportunities, and the fulfillment you desire. Every achievement begins with a dialogue within. You may not always control the outer circumstances, but you hold full dominion over the language you allow to take root in your heart. If you tell yourself you are not enough, you bind your own hands. If you repeat that success is for others and not for you, you close doors that were meant to open. But if you speak to yourself with conviction, declaring that you are capable, deserving, persistent, and unshakable, you ignite forces within you that begin moving the world in your favor. Understand this truth. Life does not respond to hesitation. It responds to bold affirmation. When you affirm your worth to yourself, the world reflects that belief back to you in the form of people, opportunities, and circumstances that honor your declaration. The language you use when you are alone is the architect of your future. Whisper defeat, you will walk in shadows. Speak victory, and you will stand in light. There is a creative power in thought, magnified through speech. Words are not idle sounds. They are vibrations that instruct the subconscious mind to build, to attract, and to create. The words you speak inwardly are orders you give to your innermost self. And that self, tirelessly obedient, begins shaping your character, your habits, and ultimately your reality, according to the commands you issue. If you speak commands of doubt, you manufacture doubt. If you speak commands of faith, you manufacture miracles. Imagine a man who rises each morning telling himself that he is unlucky, that opportunities never come his way, that he is trapped where he is. Do you think fortune will bend toward him? Of course not, for his own words have become chains around his wrists. Now imagine another man, no wealthier, no more connected, no more advantaged, but who speaks to himself each morning with conviction, I am destined for growth. I will persist until I succeed. Every challenge I meet today is a stepping stone to the greatness I seek. Such a man commands his subconscious mind to sharpen his vision, to open his awareness, and to guide him toward the very opportunities the other man is blind to. The first man curses himself into stagnation. The second blesses himself into prosperity. The world has always belonged to those who dare to speak with faith. The language of faith is not timid. It does not wait for proof before speaking. It speaks and then creates the proof. When you tell yourself, I can and I will, you summon energies that rearrange your circumstances until your declaration becomes fact. When you say, I am worthy of abundance, of love, of success, you begin to act in ways that attract those very things. For the man who believes he is unworthy will unconsciously push away opportunities, while the man who speaks his worth with boldness will unconsciously draw them in. Do not misunderstand this power. It is not enough to speak words once, lightly, without conviction. The mind is not swayed by casual suggestion. It is reshaped by persistent repetition. You must speak to yourself daily, hourly, if need be, with unwavering certainty. Just as water wears away stone, so do repeated words engrave themselves into the soul. At first your mind may resist. It may say, this is not true. I do not yet see the evidence. But keep speaking, keep affirming, keep declaring with authority, and soon the evidence will appear because your inner world will have been transformed. Consider the seed buried in soil. For days, weeks, perhaps months, there is no visible growth. Yet beneath the surface, roots are forming. Life is stirring, and the seed is preparing to break through. In the same way, the words you plant in your mind may not immediately show fruit, but with persistence, they germinate. One day, without warning, the results burst forth. Opportunities you could not see before appear. Strengths you never thought you possessed awaken, and doors that once seemed sealed open wide. You must also be vigilant. The enemy of your progress is careless speech. To speak against yourself, even in jest, is to poison your soil. To declare I always fail or I will never succeed, even half seriously, is to sow weeds that choke the harvest of your affirmations. Guard your language as you would guard your treasure, for indeed it is treasure. Every time you speak, ask yourself, am I giving life to my desires or am I giving life to my fears? For whichever you speak most often will be the master that rules you. There will be moments when life strikes you with setbacks, disappointments, and delays. In those moments, the temptation will be to echo defeat in your self-talk. Resist it. When obstacles rise, that is the very time to strengthen your declarations. Say to yourself, this challenge will pass. I am greater than this difficulty. Every setback is setting me up for a greater comeback. Speak it, believe it, and you will find the resilience to press forward where others surrender. The mind cannot hold two opposing convictions with equal strength. One will always win over the other. If you consistently speak words of fear, fear will rule you. If you consistently speak words of faith, faith will rule you. Which kingdom will you serve? The choice is yours every time you open your mouth. Speak to yourself as though you already possess the life you desire. If wealth is what you seek, declare I am wealthy in mind, wealthy in spirit, and wealth flows toward me with ease. If love is what you desire, declare I am worthy of love, I radiate love, and love surrounds me wherever I go. If health is what you wish to attract, declare I am strong, I am vibrant, every cell in my body thrives with energy. These words are not lies, they are creative commands that build the future you want. Speak them long enough with passion and certainty, and they will become your lived reality. There is no magic in silence. Silence may bring peace, but it will not bring transformation. The universe responds to sound, vibration, and affirmation. The world itself was spoken into existence, not thought into existence. Thought is the seed, but speech is the act of planting. To think you are powerful is good, but to speak it aloud engraves it upon your being with twice the force. To silently wish for success is good, but to boldly declare success with your own voice summons forces that silent wishing cannot. This is why you must not only guard what you say in the presence of others, but especially what you say in the presence of yourself. Others may applaud or criticize, but their voices fade. The one voice you can never escape is your own. Let it be your champion, not your critic. Let it be the architect of your palace, not the warden of your prison. You will discover as you continue to speak to yourself with boldness that your actions begin to align with your words. Words create belief, belief creates action, and action creates results. When you tell yourself you are disciplined, you begin to act with discipline. When you tell yourself you are courageous, you find yourself doing things that once terrified you. When you tell yourself you are destined for success, you begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before because your mind has been trained to see them. There are men and women who wait for motivation to strike before they act. They are like sailors waiting for the wind. But those who speak to themselves with the right language generate their own wind. They do not wait for conditions to change. They create the conditions through their conviction. Their words give birth to belief. Their belief gives birth to persistence, and their persistence bends the world in their favor. If you desire to attract all you want in life, begin with the simplest yet most powerful practice. Each morning before the world claims your attention, speak to yourself aloud. Declare what you will achieve, who you are becoming, and what you will attract. Speak as if you already hold it. Feel the emotion behind your words. Repeat them until they are etched into your heart. And each evening, before sleep carries you into the land of dreams, repeat them again, planting them deep in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. Day after day, week after week, this practice will transform you. You will wake with new energy, new vision, new determination, because your mind will have accepted your declarations as truth. Some may scoff. They may say, words cannot change reality. Let them scoff. They do not understand that reality itself is shaped by the beliefs and actions of men, and beliefs and actions are born from words. Every great leader, every inventor, every creator in history first spoke to themselves in language of faith. Before they saw success, they declared it. Before they saw victory, they claimed it. Before they touched abundance, they spoke it into their lives, and so must you. Do not underestimate the power of this practice because it seems simple. The simplest truths are the most profound. Just as a compass, though small, directs the course of an entire ship, The words you speak to yourself direct the course of your entire life. A ship a few degrees off course will end in a different continent. A life spoken in fear ends in disappointment, while a life spoken in faith ends in fulfillment. And remember this, the universe does not reward hesitation. Speak with boldness. Do not say, I hope. Say, I will. Do not say, I might. Say, I am. Certainty is the language of creation. Doubt is the language of stagnation. Train your tongue to speak certainty, and you will train your mind to create it. The world is listening to the language you speak to yourself. Opportunity is listening. Fortune is listening. Love is listening. Health is listening. They will respond not to your complaints, not to your fears, but to your declarations of faith, strength, and worthiness. Say to yourself this way, and you will attract all you desire. Your inner voice shapes your destiny. The way you speak to yourself determines the reality you create. Every thought you whisper inwardly, every phrase you silently repeat is a command that your subconscious mind obeys with absolute loyalty. This is the silent dialogue that runs constantly in the background of your life, yet it carries more influence than the opinions of others, the circumstances you face, or even the setbacks that challenge you. You cannot escape the power of your own voice. It is the one companion you carry with you from the moment you awaken until the moment you close your eyes and sleep. And whether you realize it or not, this voice is designing your future. Consider how a single day can change depending on the tone of your self-talk. Imagine you rise in the morning and tell yourself, today will be another struggle. Nothing ever works out for me. Immediately, you enter the day defeated before it even begins. Your energy is low, your outlook dim, and every challenge appears heavier than it truly is. Opportunities pass before your eyes, but your inner voice has already instructed you to ignore them because it convinced you nothing good belongs to you. Now imagine another day where you wake and declare, today I move closer to my goals. Today I will discover opportunities. Today I will rise above any challenge that comes. The same tasks await you, the same people surround you, the same circumstances exist, yet the reality you experience is entirely different. One day is shaped by words of defeat, the other by words of victory. This is not mere imagination, it is the direct influence of your inner voice. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It accepts whatever seeds you plant within it, whether weeds or wheat, and it multiplies them until they cover the landscape of your life. Your words are the seeds. If you consistently speak fear, limitation, and unworthiness, you will harvest a life that reflects those very beliefs. If you speak faith, possibility, and strength, you will reap abundance, progress, and confidence. The soil does not argue, it simply grows what you sow. This is why careless speech toward yourself is so dangerous. It becomes the harvest you must live with. Every great achievement has first been preceded by a voice within saying, I can, I will, I must. The athlete breaking records, the inventor shaping history, the leader guiding nations, all began with an inner conversation of faith. They trained their voice to declare possibility before evidence existed, and the repetition of those declarations built a belief so strong that no setback could silence it. Conversely, history is also filled with men and women of talent who never rose to their potential because their inner voice whispered too often, I am not enough. That whisper, though soft, carried the weight of chains, holding them from the greatness that was possible. The power of your inner voice does not rest in volume, but in persistence. The words you speak to yourself once may not hold much influence, but the words you speak daily, repeatedly, with conviction, engrave themselves into the foundation of your identity. Say to yourself often enough that you are unworthy, and soon you will act in ways that push away love, opportunity, and abundance. Say to yourself daily that you are capable, resourceful, and determined, and soon you will act in alignment with that truth, attracting the very conditions that prove it. When you begin to understand this, you see why the language of hope must be replaced with the language of certainty. To say, I hope I succeed, is to tell your subconscious that doubt still reigns. To say, I will succeed, is to give a clear command that brooks no argument. The inner voice must be trained to speak not as a beggar requesting scraps, but as a king declaring law. For the subconscious is obedient, and it responds with action and alignment according to the commands it receives. There will be moments when challenges arise, when plans fall apart, when circumstances appear to contradict the affirmations you are speaking. This is the true test of your inner voice. It is easy to declare strength when everything flows smoothly. It is more difficult and infinitely more powerful to declare strength when everything seems to crumble. When you tell yourself, this challenge cannot defeat me, it will only strengthen me, you train your mind to transform obstacles into stepping stones. But if in those moments you allow your voice to speak words of defeat, this is too much, I cannot continue, then you instruct your subconscious to surrender, and destiny follows that command. Think of a sculptor with a block of marble. Every word you speak to yourself is like a stroke of the chisel, carving shape and form. With repeated strokes, the formless stone becomes a statue. With repeated words, your character, habits, and destiny take form. Speak of weakness, and you carve a frail figure. Speak of strength, and you carve a monument. Day by day, the sculpture of your life emerges, and the tools you hold are your words. Your inner voice is also contagious. It does not remain locked within your mind. It spills into your tone, your body language, your decisions, and your interactions with others. People respond to the confidence or doubt they sense in you, often without realizing it. Opportunities are drawn to those who radiate certainty, while they slip away from those who radiate hesitation. Thus, by shaping your inner voice, you shape not only your own state, but also the way the world reacts to you. The transformation begins with awareness. Most people drift through life unaware of how destructive their self-talk has become. They say things like, I can never get this right, or I'm so unlucky, or I'll always be broke, without realizing these are not harmless expressions, but powerful commands. The first step is to catch yourself in the act of speaking these poisons. The second step is to replace them instantly with declarations of power. When you hear yourself say, I'll never succeed, stop and replace it with, I am capable of extraordinary success, and I will not stop until I achieve it. Over time, this habit rewires your mind until negative speech has no foothold. Begin small. Even simple affirmations, spoken with conviction, can shift your reality. Say to yourself each morning, I am disciplined. I am growing. I am attracting the right people and the right opportunities. At first it may feel like empty words, but persistence turns suggestion into belief, and belief into reality. Just as exercise strengthens muscles over time, repetition strengthens the power of your inner voice until it becomes the dominant force in your life. Your destiny is not written in the stars, but spoken through your own lips. Every time you declare who you are, who you will become, and what you will attract, you are writing the script of your future. Speak defeat, and defeat enters. Speak victory, and victory comes. The choice is yours, moment by moment, word by word. And when you finally master your inner voice, speaking with unwavering faith and strength, you will discover that the world itself begins to bend toward your declarations. Words are commands to the subconscious mind. Speak faith, and you build miracles. Speak fear, and you build obstacles. The subconscious mind is the silent architect of your destiny, always at work, tirelessly obeying the instructions it receives. It does not judge the commands you give it, nor does it argue with your logic. It does not ask whether the words you speak are wise or foolish, hopeful or destructive. It accepts them as law and begins constructing reality according to their blueprint. That is why your language matters more than most ever realize. The words you repeat to yourself are not harmless sounds. They are seeds of creation, signals of direction, and orders given to the hidden forces that govern your actions, your decisions, and the way the world responds to you. Imagine the subconscious as a loyal servant standing silently at your side. Whatever you tell it, it believes. When you say, I am confident, I am capable, I will succeed, it sets out to reinforce that belief. It sharpens your awareness, heightens your courage, and steers you toward opportunities that align with those words. But if you say, I am weak, I am unlucky, nothing works out for me, the same loyal servant begins to prove you right. It blinds you to possibility, magnifies your fears, and guides you into choices that reflect the defeat you declared. The subconscious is obedient, not discerning, and your words are its commands. This is why faith, when spoken, creates miracles. Faith is more than belief. It is conviction expressed with certainty. When you speak words of faith, You imprint upon your subconscious the vision of what you desire as though it were already real. The subconscious, unable to distinguish between imagination and reality, accepts the command and begins aligning your actions and perception with that vision. You find yourself noticing opportunities that others overlook. You persist in the face of difficulty because your inner programming insists that success is inevitable. Over time, faith spoken becomes faith realized, and what seemed impossible begins to unfold before your eyes. Fear, on the other hand, is faith's dark twin. It is also a form of belief, but one directed toward failure, loss, or disaster. And just as faith attracts the conditions of victory, fear attracts the conditions of defeat. When you repeatedly say to yourself, "I can't," "this will go wrong," or "I will fail," you are commanding your subconscious to build obstacles. Suddenly, hesitation becomes your constant companion. Your courage evaporates, your vision narrows, and you unconsciously sabotage opportunities that could have lifted you higher. The world seems hostile, but in truth it is only reflecting the commands you issued through fearful words. Think of two men standing at the same starting line in life. One speaks faith, "I am capable. Doors will open. I will persevere until I win." The other speaks fear, "It's too hard. Nothing ever works for me. I'm not good enough." They face similar challenges, but their subconscious minds have been instructed in opposite ways. The first man walks with confidence, draws people to him, and notices hidden chances because his inner command was to succeed. The second man hesitates, doubts himself, repels opportunities, and confirms his own fears because his inner command was to fail. Both are right, not because life favored one over the other, but because each gave orders to his subconscious that shaped the reality he would live. The process is subtle but relentless. Words create thoughts, thoughts build beliefs, beliefs drive actions, and actions shape destiny. This is why a simple phrase repeated daily can shift the course of a lifetime. A man who tells himself every morning, "I am disciplined and persistent," will gradually build the habits of discipline and persistence until they become part of his nature. Another man who tells himself daily, "I'll never change," cements that prophecy into reality. The subconscious is always listening, always obeying, always building according to the words it hears most often. Do not be deceived by the simplicity of this truth. Many dismiss affirmations as trivial because they expect immediate results. They speak words of faith for a day or two, then abandon the practice when nothing changes overnight. But the subconscious does not work on the timeline of impatience. It works on the timeline of persistence. Just as a seed takes time to sprout, the words you plant in your mind require repetition and nourishment before they bear fruit. Seed faith long enough, with conviction in the roots of belief grow deep. Speak fear long enough, and the roots of limitation grow just as deep. Both eventually manifest in reality, but only one leads to the life you truly desire. Every obstacle you face in life is either strengthened or weakened by the words you use. A challenge may appear daunting, but if you declare, "This is temporary and I will overcome it," you give your subconscious a command to search for solutions. Suddenly, ideas surface, strength returns, and persistence carries you through. But if you say, "This is impossible, I cannot handle it," you give the command to surrender. The obstacle remains not because it is insurmountable, but because your own words built a wall around you. Guarding your language is therefore one of the greatest disciplines you can practice. Be careful what you say to yourself, for every word is a seed, and every seed eventually bears fruit. Replace careless expressions of fear with deliberate affirmations of faith. Instead of saying, "I'll never figure this out," say, "I am resourceful and I will find the answer." Instead of "I always fail," say, "Every failure is a lesson bringing me closer to success." By speaking this way consistently, you reprogram your subconscious to work in your favor, turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones. The miracles of life do not come by chance. They come when the mind is aligned with faith, and that alignment begins with words. Words are the bridge between thought and reality. Silent thoughts hold potential, but spoken words activate that potential and give it shape. When you declare your vision aloud, you engrave it into your subconscious with far greater power than silent wishing. That is why leaders, achievers, and creators throughout history spoke their convictions boldly, often before evidence existed. Their words instructed their minds to act as if success was inevitable, and their reality bent to match that command. If you truly wish to master your future, Begin mastering your words. Speak faith, not fear. Speak strength, not weakness. Speak abundance, not lack. Speak victory, not defeat. Each word is a choice, and each choice is a command. Over days and weeks, those commands accumulate until they form an unshakable belief, and that belief creates the life you live. Remember always, your subconscious is loyal beyond measure. It does not question whether the command is for your good or your harm. It does not argue, it only obeys. If you order it to build obstacles through words of fear, it will obey. If you order it to build miracles through words of faith, it will obey. The responsibility is yours. The power has always been in your tongue. Affirmation must be persistent. Repetition engraves new beliefs into the soul and transforms your actions. The human mind does not change its course because of a single declaration, nor does it surrender its habits after one moment of inspiration. Transformation is not the product of a fleeting spark, but of a steady flame that burns day after day until the old patterns of doubt, fear, and limitation are consumed. This is why affirmation requires persistence. To say once, "I am strong, I am capable, I am destined for success," is not enough. The old beliefs, which may have been repeated silently within you for years, resist at first. They cling tightly because repetition has given them strength. If you have told yourself for decades that you are weak, unworthy, or doomed to fail, those beliefs have carved deep grooves in your subconscious. To replace them, you must carve new grooves through the force of repetition, and only persistence can accomplish this. Every belief you currently hold, whether empowering or destructive, is the product of repeated suggestion. You did not wake one morning suddenly convinced that you were inadequate or that success belonged to others. That conviction grew gradually, fed by experiences, by words spoken over you, and most of all by the thoughts and phrases you repeated to yourself without even noticing. This is how the mind works: records what is spoken often, stores it as truth, and then begins acting upon it as though it were law. The beauty of this truth is that the same mechanism that built disempowering beliefs can also build empowering ones. Just as repetition once engraved fear, so can repetition engrave courage. Just as it once carved doubt, so can it carve faith. Affirmation is the conscious act of choosing which beliefs to engrave. It is the deliberate planting of seeds in the soil of your subconscious. But planting one seed is not enough. You must water it, nurture it, and protect it until it takes root. A farmer who scatters a seed and then abandons it will never see a harvest. But the farmer who tends his crop daily will one day gather abundantly. Your mind is that field, and affirmation is your seed. Repetition is the water that ensures growth. Without persistence, the soil remains barren. With persistence, the harvest is inevitable. The subconscious is stubborn, but it is also loyal. It resists sudden change because it clings to what has been repeated the most. This is why your first attempts at affirmation may feel awkward, even false. You may say, "I am confident and successful," and a voice inside replies, "No, you are not." That inner resistance is nothing more than the echo of old repetitions. Do not mistake it for truth. The old voice is strong because it has been fed for years, perhaps even decades. But if you persist in your new affirmation, the old voice weakens. Each repetition of the new belief chisels away at the old, until one day the echo falls silent and the new declaration stands unchallenged. Persistence is the bridge between imagination and reality. To affirm once is to imagine. To affirm persistently is to create. Imagine a sculptor chiseling at a block of stone. One strike of the hammer may seem to do nothing, but repeated strikes, patient and relentless, gradually reveal the figure hidden within. So it is with affirmation. Each repetition, no matter how small, is a strike against the stone of old belief. Alone, it may seem meaningless, but combined with hundreds, thousands of repetitions, it reshapes your inner world until a new identity emerges. Consider how children learn. They repeat words, ideas, and actions again and again until they become second nature. At first, the child may stumble when speaking or walking, but persistence engraves the skills so deeply that it becomes automatic. Adults are no different. The subconscious learns through repetition, and what is repeated often enough becomes automatic. Affirmation practiced persistently reprograms your autopilot. It changes the very way you think, feel, and act without conscious effort. There is great danger in inconsistency. Many begin affirmations with enthusiasm but abandon them too soon, expecting instant results. They may feel encouraged for a moment, but when life does not immediately reflect their declarations, they declare the practice ineffective and return to their old patterns. What they fail to see is that repetition was beginning its work. Just as a seed germinates unseen beneath the soil, the roots were forming though the surface showed no change. Had they persisted, the breakthrough would have come, but by quitting, they denied themselves the harvest. Persistence is not glamorous, but it is the hidden secret behind every lasting transformation. The subconscious does not measure sincerity. It measures frequency. A doubtful man who repeats daily, "I am courageous and capable," will eventually build courage even if at first he does not believe it. But a man who speaks once with passion, "I am courageous," and then never repeats it, will see no change. The mind learns through reinforcement. What you repeat, it accepts. What you neglect, it forgets. That is why consistency is far more powerful than intensity. Small, persistent affirmations spoken daily are greater than one loud declaration shouted once and forgotten. Persistence in affirmation also trains your conscious mind. When you declare daily, "I am disciplined," you begin to act with discipline because your words demand alignment. The conscious mind does not wish to live in contradiction to the subconscious. If the subconscious begins to accept a new belief, the conscious mind will gradually shift its behavior to match it. This is why persistence eventually transforms not just your thoughts, but your actions. Affirm enough times that you are healthy, and you will find yourself choosing healthier behaviors. Affirm long enough that you are successful, and you will find yourself working with greater focus and determination. Affirm that you are worthy of love, and you will carry yourself with a confidence that attracts love into your life. Repetition engraves belief, belief fuels action, and action reshapes destiny. This is the chain reaction of persistence. Each repetition is a spark that keeps the fire alive, and over time the fire becomes an unquenchable blaze. Where once you struggled to believe, you now know with certainty. Where once you forced yourself to act, you now act effortlessly, because the new belief has become your identity. Understand also that affirmation is not limited to words spoken aloud. It includes the thoughts you repeat silently, the mental pictures you dwell upon, and the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Every time you replay a memory of failure, you affirm failure. Every time you imagine yourself succeeding, you affirm success. Persistence in positive affirmation requires persistence in controlling the pictures you hold in your mind. Guard your inner dialogue as carefully as your spoken words, for both carry commands to your subconscious. There will be days when repetition feels tiresome, when you wonder if it is truly working. In those moments, remind yourself that persistence is the price of transformation. Just as a mountain is worn down not by one drop of water, but by the persistence of countless drops, so is the subconscious reshaped not by one declaration, but by thousands. Each repetition, though small, is eroding the old and carving the new. Do not despise the small effort, for it is the accumulation of small efforts that creates lasting change. Your future self depends on the persistence of your present self. The beliefs you engrave today through affirmation will become the identity you live tomorrow. Speak once, and little happens. Speak daily, and everything changes. Persistence is the lever that moves the mind, and once the mind has been moved, the entire course of your life follows. Negative self-talk poisons progress. Careless words like "I can't" or "I'll never" choke your potential. Few forces are more destructive to a human being than the constant drip of self-inflicted poison that comes through language directed inward. Every time you speak to yourself with limitation, every time you declare impossibility, every time you allow despair to form into words, you chain your own spirit. The body may be strong, the mind may be capable, the opportunities may be present, yet the careless tongue can reduce all of it to nothing. The words you whisper to yourself become invisible walls, and you find yourself living in a prison that exists only in your own speech. It is easy to dismiss negative self-talk as harmless venting or casual expression. How many times do people say, "I'm just not good at this," or "that always happens to me"? without realizing they are issuing commands to their subconscious. Each careless statement plants a seed. Seeds do not care whether they are planted in jest or in seriousness. They grow anyway. If you say often enough, "I'll never be successful," that phrase takes root, and your subconscious begins working tirelessly to fulfill the prophecy. When challenges arise, it whispers, "You were right." When opportunities appear, it blinds you to them because you already declared they do not belong to you. Negative self-talk is not harmless noise, it is destructive instruction. Progress demands belief, but negative self-talk erodes belief at its foundation. A man who tells himself daily that he cannot will not even attempt, for he is already lost before the battle begins. A woman who repeats silently that she is unworthy of love will repel affection even when it is offered freely, because her own words have poisoned her ability to receive. Many people blame circumstances, fate, or other people for their lack of progress, but often the true enemy sits within, the voice that whispers, "You can't," until the person accepts it as truth. The tragedy is that most people do not even realize how much harm their words are causing. They speak casually, not knowing the subconscious listens to every word with perfect seriousness. To say "I'm always broke" feels like a complaint, but to the subconscious it is a command. To say "I'll never be confident" feels like self-pity, but to the subconscious it is an order. To say "I'm unlucky" feels like frustration, but to the subconscious it is a program that will filter reality to match the statement. Careless words accumulate like toxins in the bloodstream. One drop may not kill, but years of drops poison the entire system. Progress requires momentum, and momentum requires confidence. Negative self-talk strips confidence from the soul. Every time you say "I can't," you drain energy from your will. Every time you say "I'll never," you slam a door shut on possibility. Eventually, you condition yourself to stop trying. You begin to live small, to shrink your ambitions, to avoid risk, not because you are incapable, but because your words have told you that you are incapable so many times that you finally believed it. This is how potential is strangled, not by external enemies, but by internal voices. Think of a child learning to walk. If the child told himself, "I can't, I'll never get it right," he would remain crawling forever. But children persist because they have not yet learned to poison themselves with words of defeat. They fall, they stumble, but they try again because the idea of "I can't" has not been programmed into them. As adults, we stumble once and declare "I can't." We fail once and proclaim "I'll never," and by doing so, we create a permanent cage out of temporary setbacks. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck often comes down to the language they allow in their minds. The successful stumble and say, "I'll figure it out." The unsuccessful stumble and say, "I knew I couldn't." The successful fail and declare, "This is only a lesson." The unsuccessful fail and declare, "This proves I'll never succeed." Both encounter setbacks, but only one poisons themselves with words that choke progress. To break free, you must become vigilant with your language. Catch yourself in the act of negative self-talk and refuse to tolerate it. When you hear yourself say "I can't," stop immediately and replace it with "I can and I will find a way." When you catch yourself saying "I'll never," replace it with "I am on my way." At first, this discipline feels unnatural. The negative phrases have been spoken for so long they slip out unconsciously. But with awareness and persistence, you can rewire your speech. Over time, positive declarations will become your default, and progress will no longer be choked but fueled by your words. Understand also that negative self-talk does not only affect your inner world, it affects how others perceive you. When you constantly speak of your own limitations, people believe you. Opportunities close because no one wishes to invest in someone who has already declared themselves incapable. Friends, colleagues, and leaders respond to the confidence or defeat they hear in your words. By poisoning yourself with negative language, you also poison the way others view you, creating a double barrier to progress. Every great achievement requires courage, and courage begins with language. The person who says, "I can," finds the strength to attempt, and in attempting discovers possibilities that were hidden. The person who says, "I can't," never even begins and therefore never discovers what they might have been capable of. Progress is not guaranteed to the one who speaks faith, but it is absolutely denied to the one who speaks defeat. Negative self-talk ensures failure because it removes the possibility of even trying. You cannot afford careless words. Treat every phrase you speak about yourself as if it were a prophecy. If you declare weakness, weakness comes. If you declare strength, strength rises. If you declare defeat, defeat greets you. If you declare victory, victory finds you. The subconscious is listening always, and it obeys without judgment. You are either commanding it to build bridges toward your goals or ordering it to build walls around your life. There is a reason ancient wisdom warned of the power of the tongue. Words are not empty. They carry the vibration of creation. Spoken often enough, they shape the inner world, and the inner world shapes the outer. Negative self-talk is nothing less than self-destruction spoken into existence. The good news is that the reverse is also true. Positive self-talk is self-creation spoken into existence. You can poison or you can empower. The choice is yours, and it begins with the words you allow to pass your lips. Progress thrives on encouragement. Just as a plant leans toward sunlight, your spirit leans toward words of faith. Speak often of what you can do, of what you are becoming, of where you are going. Replace poison with nourishment, and you will see how quickly your potential revives. The weeds of negative speech may have choked you for years, but persistent pruning and planting of new language will restore the garden of your mind. Negative self-talk poisons progress, but awareness and discipline can cleanse the poison. From this moment forward, refuse to curse yourself with words of defeat. When fear whispers, answer it with faith. When doubt says, "You can't," declare boldly, "I can and I will." Train your tongue to become your greatest ally instead of your greatest enemy. In doing so, you free your potential to grow unhindered, and the progress that once seemed impossible becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Challenges demand stronger declarations. Speak resilience and victory when life tests you, not defeat. Life is not designed to let anyone pass through untouched by difficulty. Storms come, obstacles appear, losses strike, and trials test the strength of your spirit. These are not signs of failure or punishment, but inevitable seasons that forge greatness. The difference between those who emerge stronger and those who remain broken often lies in the declarations they make during the trial. When life presses hard, it is tempting to echo words of defeat. "This is too much. I can't go on. I'll never recover." But such declarations, though they may feel natural, reinforce weakness. They trap you deeper in despair. Instead, when challenges rise, your voice must rise higher. Your words must not reflect the weight of the trial, but the strength of your determination. Every test is an invitation to declare something greater than your circumstances. The mountain does not move because you complain about its height. It moves when you declare with conviction, "I will climb, I will endure, I will overcome." These declarations are not mere slogans. They are commitments you speak into your soul. They ignite resilience, and resilience is the difference between those who fall permanently and those who rise again. Life listens to the voice you use in the midst of struggle. Speak defeat, and defeat becomes your reality. Speak victory, and you create a path toward it. Challenges are not equal in size, but they are equal in purpose. Each one asks you, "What will you say now?" It is easy to speak words of confidence when life is smooth, but when health fails, when money disappears, when betrayal strikes, when dreams collapse, then your true inner language is revealed. That is the moment to summon the strength to speak resilience. Say, "This will not destroy me. This will refine me. I will come out stronger." Such words do not erase the hardship, but they change your relationship with it. They transform suffering into training. They transform pain into preparation. Understand that your declarations during trials are not empty noise. They shape your state of mind, and your state of mind shapes your actions. A person who tells themselves, "I cannot handle this," will act in ways that reflect helplessness. They will retreat, surrender, or freeze. A person who declares, "I am stronger than this," will act in alignment with strength. They will search for solutions, persist through setbacks, and summon creativity that otherwise would have remained hidden. In both cases, the external challenge may be the same, but the outcome changes based on the declaration made. Resilience is not the absence of hardship. It is the decision to outlast hardship. Victory is not luck. It is persistence declared in the face of adversity. History is filled with examples of men and women who faced overwhelming challenges, yet spoke victory into themselves until their circumstances bent to their will. Leaders who endured war, inventors who failed hundreds of times, dreamers who were laughed at until they succeeded, all shared the ability to declare resilience when others would have declared defeat. Their challenges were not less severe than yours. Their language was stronger. There is power in refusing to let the trial define your speech. If you are sick, do not declare sickness as your identity. Declare healing as your expectation. If you are broke, do not declare poverty as permanent. Declare abundance as inevitable. If you are betrayed, do not declare yourself unloved. Declare that you are worthy and that greater relationships await you. The challenge is real, but your words decide whether it becomes your tombstone or your stepping stone. Many people fall because they let their emotions dictate their declarations. When tired, they say, "I'm finished." When broken, they say, "I'll never rise again." But emotions are temporary, while words are seeds. If you speak only what you feel, you plant seeds of defeat. The discipline of greatness is to speak not what you feel, but what you choose. When your body is weary, declare, "I still have strength." When your heart aches, declare, "Joy will return." When everything around you looks impossible, declare, "Nothing is impossible for me." These words are not lies, they are choices. They call forth resilience that already lives within you but must be awakened through speech. It is also important to realize that the challenge itself listens. Struggle grows weaker when faced with declarations of faith. Fear shrinks when confronted by words of courage. Doubt retreats when answered with words of certainty. Your words do not merely echo inside you. They send ripples outward, affecting how challenges respond to you. A confident declaration turns enemies into opportunities, while a defeated declaration turns opportunities into enemies. Resilience, spoken aloud, also inspires others. When those around you hear you declare victory in the midst of difficulty, they draw strength from your words. Families endure because one person kept saying, "We will make it." Teams succeed because one leader kept saying, "We can do this." Communities rise because one voice refused to bow to despair. Never underestimate how your declarations in hardship ripple into the lives of others. By speaking resilience, you become a beacon not only for yourself, but for everyone who watches you. There will be moments when your challenge seems to shout louder than your declarations. Pain will scream, loss will echo, failure will thunder. In those moments, your temptation will be to go silent or to agree with defeat, but silence allows despair to grow unchecked, and agreement with defeat makes it permanent. You must keep speaking. Even if your voice shakes, even if your circumstances mock you, keep declaring resilience and victory. Every repetition carves strength into your subconscious. Every declaration reinforces the belief that you will endure, and in time the voice of victory within you grows louder than the voice of defeat around you. Remember, the measure of your words in challenge is not how elegant they sound, but how firmly you believe them. "I will rise" is more powerful when said with conviction than any long speech said with doubt. Simple declarations, repeated with persistence, build a fortress of resilience inside you. They may not stop the storm, but they will keep you standing through it. And when the storm passes, as all storms do, you will find yourself stronger than before. Life does not promise ease. It promises challenges that test the fiber of your being. But with every challenge comes a choice. Will you declare defeat, or will you declare victory? Choose victory. Speak resilience until it becomes your identity. Let your words in the darkest hour be the light that guides you forward. And when the challenge ends, you will look back not only proud of your endurance, but grateful for the strength you discovered in yourself. Strength that was unlocked because you dared to speak victory when life tested you. Speak as if you already possess your desires. Words of certainty attract the conditions needed to manifest them. The mind is a builder, the subconscious is a servant, and the universe itself bends toward the vibration of your convictions. When you speak as though what you want is already yours, you create a reality inside your mind that begins to draw the outer world into alignment. Too often people speak with hesitation, with uncertainty, with language that betrays doubt. They say, "I hope one day I'll succeed," or "Maybe I'll find happiness," Or if things go well, perhaps I'll achieve my dream. Such words signal uncertainty, and uncertainty repels the very outcomes they long for. The law of life is not built upon hesitation. It responds to certainty, to declaration, to unwavering speech that claims possession before possession is visible. Think of a builder who lays a foundation. He does not say, I hope this will one day become a house. He speaks with certainty, this is the beginning of a house. His words are not about possibility, but inevitability. Likewise, when you desire wealth, health, love, opportunity, or growth, you must not speak as though they are distant dreams. You must speak as though they are present realities. To say, I am becoming prosperous, is weaker than to say, I am prosperous. To say, I hope to be healthy, is weaker than to say, I am healthy, and my body is restoring daily. To say, I want confidence, is weaker than to say, I am confident, and every day my confidence expands. Words of certainty anchor your desires in the present moment, and the present is the only time power exists. The subconscious mind does not operate in the future. It only knows the now. When you speak as if your desires are future-bound, the subconscious holds them in suspension, never allowing them to materialize. But when you declare them as already real, the subconscious begins adjusting your thoughts, behaviors, and perceptions to make them so. Say often enough, I am successful, and you begin to notice opportunities you once overlooked. Declare consistently, I am worthy of love, and you begin to act in ways that attract love. Affirm firmly, I am strong, and strength manifests in your posture, your energy, your choices. Words of certainty are the key that unlocks the subconscious, and once unlocked, it works tirelessly to bring the external world into harmony with your inner declaration. Skeptics will say, but how can I declare something I do not yet see? The answer is that everything you see today was once unseen. Every invention, every empire, every success began as an unseen reality declared with certainty. The airplane flew first in the imagination before it ever left the ground. Fortune was first claimed in thought before it was counted in a bank. Great love was first spoken into existence before it was ever embraced. To speak as if you already possess is not delusion, it is creation. You are not lying to yourself, you are commanding reality to shift. There is a profound difference between wishing and declaring. A wish says, I hope it will come to me. A declaration says, it is already mine. The universe responds not to the timidity of wishful thinking, but to the boldness of certainty. When you speak boldly, as if the thing already exists, you set forces in motion that align people, circumstances, and events to fulfill your words. It is as though you are broadcasting a frequency, and everything that matches that frequency is drawn to you. Speak with hesitation, and your signal is weak. Speak with certainty, and your signal is undeniable. Certainty also builds inner confidence. When you say, I am, you begin to act in alignment with that identity. A man who declares, I am disciplined, will begin to refuse temptations that contradict his words. A woman who declares, I am courageous, will begin to face fears that once paralyzed her. Words shape identity, and identity shapes behavior. Soon your actions reinforce your declarations, and what began as speech becomes visible reality. This is the secret of transformation. Speak it until you believe it until you act it until it becomes your nature. Even in the face of contradiction, you must maintain certainty in your declarations. You may declare, I am abundant, while your pockets are empty. You may declare, I am healthy, while your body aches. You may declare, I am victorious, while surrounded by defeat. Do not let appearances silence your words. Appearances are temporary, declarations shape permanence. The farmer who plants seeds does not say, I hope this barren soil will one day produce crops. He says, this field is abundant, even while the soil looks empty, because he knows the seed is already working beneath the surface. Your declarations are seeds. Speak them daily, water them with belief, and allow time to reveal the harvest. Doubt is the great enemy of manifestation. Doubt creeps in when the outer world contradicts your inner declarations. But you must understand, the outer world is always slower to catch up with the inner. Declarations work first on the unseen level, shaping thought, belief, vibration, and only afterward on the visible level of material reality. If you abandon your words of certainty the moment circumstances appear unchanged, you uproot your seeds before they sprout. The key is persistence. Speak as if you already possess, not once, not occasionally, but continually, until the unseen becomes seen. Another reason words of certainty are powerful is because they eliminate hesitation. A person who says, "I might succeed," hesitates to act. But a person who declares, "I am successful," moves with the confidence of inevitability. They walk into rooms differently. They make decisions differently. They seize opportunities without second guessing. Their certainty communicates itself to others, and people are naturally drawn to those who speak as if their future is guaranteed. Employers, investors, partners, and friends respond to certainty because certainty breeds trust. Thus, your words not only attract conditions, but also align people to support your journey. To practice speaking as if you already possess your desires, begin by examining your daily language. Eliminate "I hope," "I wish," "I want," and replace them with "I am," "I have," "I can." Say, "I am attracting wealth," not "I want to be wealthy." Say, "I am strong and resilient," not "I wish I could handle this." Say, "I have everything I need to succeed," not "I hope things turn around." At first, the words may feel foreign, but repetition ingrains them. Over time, your subconscious accepts them as truth, and when the subconscious accepts something as truth, reality bends to match it. The greatest mistake is to wait until you see evidence before you speak with certainty. Evidence does not create faith. Faith creates evidence. Speak first, believe first, act first, and the evidence will follow. When you declare wealth, wealth begins moving toward you. When you declare health, your body begins shifting toward healing. When you declare love, your energy begins to attract companionship. The order is not see and then say, it is say and then see. So speak boldly. Speak as if the victory is already won, as if the dream is already fulfilled, as if the life you desire is already in your hands. Let your words carry certainty, not hesitation. Let them carry conviction, not doubt. Let them be declarations, not wishes. For when you speak as if you already possess, you align your subconscious, your actions, and the universe itself to manifest that reality. Words of certainty are the key that opens the door to your desires, and once the door is open, nothing can keep you from stepping through it into the life you have spoken into existence. The voice you cannot escape is your own. Let it be your greatest champion, not your harshest critic. You live with many voices around you. The voices of parents, teachers, friends, colleagues, society, and strangers. They may praise you or criticize you, encourage you or discourage you, lift you up or tear you down. But none of these voices has as much power over your destiny as the one that speaks within your own mind. You can walk away from others. You can silence the noise of the world. You can even choose who you allow into your circle, but you cannot escape yourself. The voice inside your head is with you when you wake, when you work, when you rest, when you succeed, and when you fail. It whispers in silence, shouts in crisis, and colors every experience you have. Because it is inescapable, it must be your ally, not your enemy. Too many people suffer not from the harshness of the world, but from the harshness of their own inner critic. They replay mistakes, magnify flaws, and condemn themselves with words that would break even the strongest spirit if spoken aloud. They say, "I'm not good enough, I always mess up, I'll never get it right." These phrases, repeated day after day, become the soundtrack of their lives. And because the subconscious accepts what it hears, these voices shape beliefs, and beliefs shape outcomes. A person who calls themselves a failure long enough begins to act like one, even if they have the same potential as anyone else. But consider the alternative. What if your inner voice became your greatest source of encouragement? What if instead of criticism, it spoke affirmation? Instead of doubt, it spoke confidence? Instead of reminding you of weakness, it reminded you of strength. Imagine how differently you would approach challenges if the first voice you heard inside your mind said, "You are capable. You are prepared. You can do this." That is the power of turning your inner voice into your champion. This transformation is not about ignoring flaws or pretending you are perfect. It is about choosing what kind of fuel you pour into your spirit. A harsh critic weakens you at the very moment you need strength. A champion builds you up even when circumstances are difficult. The critic says, "You failed before, so you'll fail again." The champion says, yes, you failed before, but you learned, and now you are stronger. The critic says, you don't have what it takes. The champion says, you have more within you than you've even discovered. The critic looks at the mountain and says, it's impossible. The champion looks at the mountain and says, step by step, I'll conquer it. Both voices live within you. Which one you feed determines the life you live. The truth is, your inner voice is always teaching you how to interpret life. It tells you what experiences mean, what setbacks represent, and what you should believe about yourself. Two people can face the same disappointment. One hears their inner critic say, see, you're worthless, and they give up. The other hears their inner champion say, this is a lesson, not the end, and they rise again. The external event is the same, but the inner interpretation is different, and so the outcome diverges. To make your inner voice your champion, you must become conscious of it. Most people let their thoughts run on autopilot, unaware of how much self-damage is being done. They don't even notice the constant self-criticism because it has become habitual, like background noise. But awareness changes everything. The moment you begin to listen to your thoughts, you gain the power to challenge them. When the critic says, I'll never succeed, you can pause and ask, is that truth or just fear speaking? When the critic says, I'm not worthy, you can ask, who decided that? And why must I accept it? By questioning the critic, you weaken its grip. By replacing its voice with words of encouragement, you strengthen the champion. This takes discipline. The harsh critic has likely been with you for years, fed by insecurities, failures, comparisons, and fears. It does not disappear overnight, but every time you refuse to agree with it and instead speak words of affirmation, you starve it of power. Over time, the critic grows weaker, and the champion grows louder. Eventually, the voice you hear most often becomes the one that lifts you, not the one that tears you down. Understand also that your inner voice shapes not only how you see yourself, but how others see you. People can feel when someone carries self-belief. They can also feel when someone is weighed down by self-condemnation. A confident inner voice produces confident body language, tone, and energy. A critical inner voice produces hesitation, doubt, and insecurity. When you let your inner champion lead, you project strength and others respond to it. You attract opportunities, relationships, and respect not by demanding them, but by embodying the certainty that comes from encouraging yourself daily. This is not about arrogance. Arrogance is a mask for insecurity. True confidence is quiet but unshakable. It comes from a steady inner voice that says, I am enough. I can grow. I can handle what comes. That voice does not need to boast to others. It simply directs you with calm conviction. That kind of inner dialogue creates resilience, because even when the world criticizes you, your own voice reassures you. And when you have that, nothing outside can destroy you. Think of the great achievements throughout history. Do you believe those who accomplished them had no doubts? Of course they did. But their inner champion was louder than their inner critic. When they stumbled, their inner voice said, get up, try again. When they were laughed at, their inner voice said, keep going. When doors closed, their inner voice said, another will open. They succeeded not because they never heard the critic, but because they refused to let it lead. You have that same power. Begin today to monitor your inner language. Replace I can't with I can. Replace I'm a failure with I am learning. Replace I am weak with I am growing stronger. These replacements may feel small, but they are revolutionary. They shift the direction of your mind, and once the mind shifts, life follows. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love deeply, because in truth you are with yourself more than with anyone else. You owe it to your destiny to be your own encourager, not your own enemy. The voice you cannot escape will either be the chain that holds you down or the wings that lift you up. Let it become your champion. Train it, discipline it, and fill it with words of courage, strength, and belief. Then, no matter what happens outside you, you will always have a source of power within you. And when you live with that kind of voice, you will not only attract success, you will create it, embody it, and sustain it, because your own inner companion will never let you fall without reminding you to rise again. Words ignite belief, belief fuels action, and action produces results. Transformation flows from speech to reality. Every great shift in life Every remarkable achievement, every leap from the ordinary to the extraordinary begins with a word spoken. Words are not just sounds carried on air. They are seeds planted in the soil of the mind, waiting to grow into belief. A single phrase can shape how you see yourself, how you see the world, and how you interpret your possibilities. When you speak words of power, of conviction, of certainty, you do more than express thought. You activate belief within yourself, and belief is the spark that awakens the force of action, which ultimately manifests results. Consider how often people sabotage their lives with careless words. They say, "I can't do this," and the mind believes them. They say, "I'll never succeed," and the heart loses its will to try. They say, "It's too late for me," and opportunities walk past them unclaimed. Words spoken in defeat become self-fulfilling prophecies, for belief follows language. But when you choose words of victory, "I can," "I will," "I must," belief aligns itself with possibility. Suddenly the mind begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. The heart begins to rise with energy instead of shrinking in fear. The body becomes ready to act instead of paralyzed by doubt. Belief is not born in a vacuum. It is fed by language. A child told you are capable grows to believe in their abilities, while one constantly told you're worthless may wrestle with insecurity for years. Adults are no different. The words you repeatedly speak to yourself create the atmosphere of your mind. Positive, determined, and bold language creates fertile ground for strong belief. Negative, fearful, and self-condemning language poisons the soil. To transform your life, you must take control of your words, because they are the architects of your belief system. Once belief is ignited, it becomes a force that refuses to remain idle. Belief demands expression, and its natural expression is action. A person who truly believes they can achieve something cannot sit still. Belief pushes them to move, to risk, to try, to persist. The history of progress is the story of men and women whose beliefs translated into bold action. They spoke words of vision. It is possible, it can be done, and those words created unshakable belief. That belief gave them courage to act, even when others doubted. Through action, they proved their words true, and their results transformed the world around them. Notice the chain. Speech leads to belief, belief to action, and action to results. Break the chain at any point, and transformation halts. Words without belief are empty. Belief without action is dormant. Action without consistency produces little. But when the chain is complete, it is unstoppable. Speak the right words, believe them, act on them relentlessly, and results must appear. Think of Thomas Edison. He believed he could invent the light bulb despite thousands of failures. His belief was not baseless. It was sustained by words of determination he spoke to himself and others. Because he refused to let failure rewrite his language, his belief stayed alive. That belief compelled him to keep taking action, experiment after experiment. Eventually, action produced the result that illuminated the world. Or consider Martin Luther King Jr., who spoke words of vision. "I have a dream." Those words ignited belief in millions. Belief stirred people into action. Marches, protests, persistence, and action changed the course of history. Transformation began with speech and flowed into reality. The same principle works in your personal life. If you speak words of limitation, you plant seeds of doubt, and you will hesitate to act. If you speak words of faith, you ignite belief, and action will naturally follow. For example, imagine someone trying to start a business. If they say, "This will never work," their belief shrivels, and they take hesitant or no action, ensuring failure. But if they declare, "I will find a way," belief grows. That belief energizes action, planning, networking, learning, adjusting, and eventually results appear. The difference is not in external conditions, but in the inner dialogue that created belief or destroyed it. It is important to understand that results do not come overnight. Speaking words of power does not instantly transform reality, but it does instantly transform you. It begins to shape your mindset, which alters your decisions, which changes your actions. Over time, consistent action compounded by belief produces results that seem miraculous to outsiders but inevitable to you. What others call luck is often the fruit of years of speaking with conviction, believing deeply, and acting consistently. This is why guarding your words is essential. Do not casually speak failure over your life. Do not joke about being broke, worthless, unlucky, or doomed, because words sink deeper than you realize. Even in jest, the subconscious records them. Instead, speak with intention. Call yourself capable, even when you feel weak. Declare victory, even when circumstances scream defeat. Speak healing, even when pain is present. Speak abundance, even when lack surrounds you. This is not denial, it is discipline. It is choosing to align your language with the reality you wish to create, rather than the limitation you currently see. When belief is strong enough, action becomes persistent. And persistence is the bridge to results. Many give up not because they lack potential, but because they let discouraging words destroy their belief, which in turn weaken their action. The journey of transformation requires a resilient belief, constantly fueled by words of strength. When setbacks come, and they will, your language will decide whether you rise again or stay down. Say to yourself, "This is not the end, only a step," and belief will reignite. Say, "I can overcome this," and action will resume. Eventually, results will reward you for not breaking the chain. Every major transformation in your life will follow this pattern. Want to get healthier? Begin by speaking words of health. I am disciplined. I am strong. I am consistent. These words ignite belief that you can change. That belief drives you to take daily action, better food choices, regular exercise. Action compounds into results, weight lost, strength gained, energy increased. Want to improve your finances? Speak abundance, not scarcity. I am learning to manage money. I am attracting opportunities. I am capable of wealth. Belief grows, action follows, saving, investing, creating, and results manifest. The formula never changes. Words, belief, action, results. Even spirituality and personal growth operate through this chain. Scriptures, affirmations, prayers, and mantras are all forms of spoken words designed to ignite belief. That belief moves people into action, acts of kindness, discipline, focus, and those actions produce transformation. Across cultures and times, humanity has always understood this principle. The power of words is the starting point of change. You must therefore take responsibility for what comes out of your mouth. Speak life, not death. Speak hope, not despair. Speak victory, not defeat. Every word is a seed, and every seed grows into belief. The more you speak with purpose, the more belief becomes your natural state. The stronger your belief, the bolder your actions. The bolder your actions, the greater your results. This is the unbreakable flow of transformation. The world you experience tomorrow is already being shaped by the words you speak today. If you want a better reality, start with better language. Train your speech to reflect where you are going, not where you are stuck. Build belief through repetition, fuel action through conviction, and let results prove the truth of your words. This is not magic, it is discipline, persistence, and alignment. Transformation flows from speech to reality, and the pen that writes your destiny is carried in your tongue. The universe responds to boldness, not hesitation. Replace I hope with I will, and I might with I am. Life has a way of mirroring the energy you put into it. If you walk timidly, afraid to claim what belongs to you, the world reflects that uncertainty back at you in the form of missed opportunities, closed doors, and stagnant progress. But when you walk with boldness, when your words declare certainty and your spirit radiates conviction, the very fabric of life bends to meet your courage. Boldness is not arrogance, it is confidence rooted in decision. It is the refusal to whisper when your destiny demands you speak loudly. It is the courage to declare I will when others say I hope. It is the strength to affirm I am when hesitation tempts you to hide behind I might. Words are not just statements, they are signals. Every time you speak, you send a signal to your subconscious mind, to the people around you, and to the universe itself. When you say, I hope, you send a signal of uncertainty. You confess that you do not yet believe fully. You are asking, almost begging, for permission to succeed. The universe does not reward hesitation because hesitation is indecision, and indecision is the soil where failure thrives. When you say, I will, you send a signal of determination. You speak with authority, declaring that the matter is settled. That certainty pulls circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with your vision. Consider the difference between I might start a business and I am building a business. The first is a dream wrapped in doubt, spoken in the language of fear. The second is a declaration of action, spoken in the language of boldness. The moment you speak I am, you step into identity. You claim what is yours before it is visible. That claim transforms your mindset. It shifts your focus. It compels you to act differently. The universe does not wait for you to be ready. It waits for you to be bold. Think of all the people who have changed the course of history. They did not speak in hesitation. They did not say, I might try to make a difference. They said, I will. They said, I am the one. Their words of boldness ignited movements, inventions, revolutions, and transformations that shaped the world. They spoke as if the future had already bent to their will, and because of that, it did. Boldness has a magnetic quality. It draws the unseen into the seen. Yet boldness does not mean the absence of fear. Boldness is the choice to speak and act in spite of fear. Everyone feels doubt. Everyone feels uncertainty. The difference between the timid and the bold is not emotion but decision. The timid let fear dictate their language. I hope, maybe, someday. The bold let vision dictate their language. I will, I am, today. One postpones destiny. The other demands it now. The universe cannot help but respond to the latter, because boldness is faith in motion. When you speak with hesitation, you give power to obstacles. You make challenges larger than they are by confessing weakness before the fight even begins. But when you speak with boldness, you strip challenges of their intimidation. You say to the mountain, I will climb you, and suddenly the climb becomes possible. You say to failure, I am greater than you, and failure becomes a stepping stone instead of a wall. You say to your goals, I will achieve you, and every fiber of your being begins to align with that outcome. The power is not in denying reality, but in declaring dominance over it. Bold words become self-fulfilling prophecies. A person who says, I am becoming stronger every day will subconsciously seek habits, choices, and actions that prove those words true. A person who says, I hope I can change will subconsciously find excuses to stay the same because their language gave them an escape route. Hope has its place, but hope is the seed. Boldness is the harvest. The language of I will and I am waters that seed until it bears fruit. You must understand that the universe is not neutral. It tilts in favor of the decisive. Opportunities do not wait for those who linger in hesitation. They pass by the undecided and land in the hands of those who are bold enough to act. If you want to attract all you desire, you must speak as if it is already on its way. When you say, I am successful, your mind begins to process what success looks like and how to act accordingly. When you say, I will achieve my dreams, you place a demand on your willpower and discipline to rise up and match your words. The timid often watch life from the sidelines. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect chance, the perfect sign. The bold create the moment. They step forward with words of certainty, and in doing so, they make room for destiny to meet them halfway. If you keep saying, I hope, you give power to delay. If you keep saying, I will, you ignite momentum. If you keep saying, I might, you invite hesitation. If you keep saying, I am, you solidify identity. Identity is stronger than intention. When you declare, I am, you are no longer wishing, you are becoming. Look closely at your own language. How often do you weaken your future by speaking hesitation into it? How often do you say, I hope it works out, instead of, I will make it work? How often do you say, I might get better, instead of, I am getting stronger? Every time you downgrade your language, you downgrade your potential. Every time you upgrade your words to boldness, you upgrade your destiny. The difference between stagnation and transformation lies in a shift from weak phrases to bold declarations. Even in the face of failure, boldness must remain. The bold say, I will rise again, even when they are on the ground. The bold say, I am learning, even when mistakes pile up. The bold say, I will finish, even when the road is long. This unrelenting declaration bends circumstances. It wears down resistance. It proves that nothing can outlast the one who refuses to retreat. The timid quit because their language convinces them they cannot go further. The bold endure because their language convinces them the end is inevitable. Boldness does not mean you already know the path. It means you trust that the path will reveal itself as you move. I will is a declaration that precedes clarity. I am is an identity spoken before it is fully manifest. That is the beauty of boldness. It calls forth what does not yet exist. It demands that the unseen become seen. It insists that the impossible bow to the will of the determined. So begin today by changing your words. Replace I hope I can change my life with I will change my life. Replace I might become successful with I am successful in the making. Replace I hope I get through this storm with I will overcome this storm. Every replacement strengthens belief. Every belief fuels action, and every action produces results. Bold words set the chain of transformation in motion. The universe is listening, but it responds not to timid whispers, but to bold declarations. Speak with the voice of certainty, and you will attract certainty. Speak with the voice of hesitation, and you will attract delay. You are the author of your destiny, and your pen is your tongue. Write boldly, declare powerfully. Replace every I hope with I will and every I might with I am, and watch the universe align itself with the boldness of your speech. Opportunity, fortune, health, and love all respond to your declarations. Speak the language of faith and attract all you desire. Life bends in the direction of your spoken word, and the world is far more responsive to the voice of certainty than it is to the voice of doubt. Every area of your existence, whether it be your pursuit of opportunity, your relationship with wealth, the condition of your body, or the bonds of love, hears and reacts to the language you choose to speak. Words are not passive. They are active vibrations that set into motion the outcomes you either embrace or fear. When you speak with faith, you send out commands that align the invisible with the visible, summoning the very conditions you need to manifest your vision. Opportunity is one of the greatest gifts life offers, but opportunity rarely presents itself to those who are silent or doubtful. Opportunity responds to bold declarations of readiness. When you say, I am prepared for success, you condition your mind to notice openings others miss. When you say, I will find the right door, you remain persistent even in the face of rejection. The timid often stand in front of closed doors saying, I hope something happens. But the bold declare, I will make something happen, and that declaration fuels the creativity, persistence, and courage required to turn a closed door into an open one. Life is rich with chances, but only those who declare themselves worthy and ready recognize them when they appear. Fortune is no different. Wealth is not merely a matter of skill or circumstance. It is also a matter of belief and declaration. Those who say money never stays with me unconsciously repel prosperity by acting recklessly or by ignoring opportunities. Those who say, I am capable of creating wealth begin to attract knowledge, people, and actions that align with abundance. Your words establish your financial thermostat. Speak scarcity, and scarcity grows. Speak abundance, and abundance expands. Fortune responds to conviction. If you consistently declare, I am a magnet for opportunities, I am disciplined with my resources, I am building lasting prosperity, you train your subconscious mind to handle money wisely and attract channels of increase. Health, too, listens closely to your declarations. The human body is profoundly influenced by the words it hears, especially from its owner. People who continually say, I am always sick, I have no energy, or I can't seem to stay healthy, reinforce patterns of weakness. But those who affirm, I am healing, I am strong, I am disciplined in caring for my body, awaken the body's natural drive to repair, to energize, and to strengthen. Countless studies have shown the link between mindset, spoken affirmations, and physical health. Words reduce stress, build resilience, and accelerate healing. Speaking the language of faith over your body is not fantasy. It is partnership with the natural intelligence of life that thrives on belief and positivity. Love is perhaps the most delicate and yet the most responsive of all areas to your declarations. Many sabotage relationships with words of doubt and insecurity. No one will ever truly love me, or I'm not worthy of being loved. Such words erect barriers that even the most caring partner struggles to overcome. But those who speak, I am worthy of love, I am attracting people who value me, I am a source of kindness and strength, radiate an energy that draws meaningful relationships. Love cannot flourish in the soil of fear, but it blossoms in the light of faith. To speak positively about love is to invite it into your life, to create an environment where it feels welcome and safe. What ties opportunity, fortune, health, and love together is that they are not external accidents. They are responses to the signals you send through your words. When you speak faith, you create alignment. When you speak doubt, you create resistance. The universe does not resist you. You resist yourself when your words contradict your desires. A person who says, I want success, but I'll probably fail, has already faced their intention. Their words cancel their desire before it has a chance to materialize. But one who says, I am destined for success, I am worthy of abundance, I am becoming stronger every day, I am worthy of love, creates harmony between thought, word, and action. That harmony is magnetic. The language of faith is not about pretending challenges do not exist. It is about speaking a greater truth than the challenge. When sickness comes, faith does not say, I am doomed. Faith says, I am healing. When financial struggles appear, faith does not say, I will always be broke. Faith says, I am learning, I am growing, I am attracting new opportunities. When loneliness tries to grip the heart, faith does not say, I am unlovable. Faith says, I am becoming the kind of person who attracts love and builds deep connection. The language of faith reframes obstacles as temporary and victory as permanent. The most powerful declarations are those spoken consistently. A single statement may inspire for a moment, but repetition engraves belief into the subconscious mind. The more often you declare, I am successful, the more your subconscious begins to align your behavior with success. The more you say, I am healthy, the more your body responds with vitality. The more you affirm, I am surrounded by love, the more your energy draws loving relationships. This is why affirmations are not a practice of wishful thinking, but of deliberate conditioning. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you live. It is not enough to think silently. You must speak aloud. Words carry vibration, and that vibration reinforces belief. When you declare boldly, you hear yourself, and your mind cannot ignore the authority of your own voice. Seek your desires as if they are already on their way, and your spirit will rise to match your declarations. This is the practice of creation, to speak, to believe, to act, and to receive. Every person has within them the ability to attract the life they desire, but not everyone dares to declare it. Many remain silent, trapped by fear of disappointment or by the judgment of others. But the universe rewards the bold, not the hesitant. Those who say, I am ready, see doors swing open. Those who say, I am capable, see challenges bend to their will. Those who say, I am blessed, discover blessings multiplying around them. Faith spoken aloud is the language of partnership with life itself. So watch your words carefully. Speak what you want, not what you fear. Declare opportunity into your path. I am surrounded by doors of possibility, and I recognize them. Declare fortune. I am disciplined, prosperous, and my wealth grows daily. Declare health. I am vibrant, I am healing, I am strong. Declare love. I am worthy, I am kind, I am deeply loved and loving. These are not empty statements. They are seeds. With repetition, belief waters them. With action, they grow. With time, they bear fruit. The greatest tragedy is not that people lack opportunity, fortune, health, or love. The tragedy is that they fail to declare these things into their lives with faith. They settle for hesitation instead of boldness. But you are not bound to that fate. You can choose to speak the language of faith, to declare boldly what you desire, and to align your life with the results you seek. The universe is listening always. The question is not whether it will respond, but what it will respond to. If you speak fear, you attract fear. If you speak faith, you attract fulfillment. The power rests in your tongue. Speak as if you already possess what you desire. Declare it daily with boldness, and let the rhythm of your words shape the rhythm of your life. Opportunity, fortune, health, and love are waiting to answer your call. Lift your voice in faith. Speak as though it is already done, and watch the universe deliver everything you boldly claim.